Here's the deal. 53 days until Election Day, and it looks like Colorado is still going to matter. The race is tightening here. The candidates are still coming here. So if we're all in this together for another 53 days, let's at least consider a plea for civility from a very thoughtful next viewer. She happens to be from Jefferson County, which is the county most likely to swing the race. Not a radical idea if you follow Colorado politics, but Jefferson County made a list of the 10 battleground countries in America to watch. Axiom Strategies, a Republican political consulting firm, and Remington Research Group, a polling firm, put together that 10-county list. So now Republicans hold a voter registration edge in Jeffco, but according to the latest polling, Clinton's up there, 41-39. Our political expert Floyd Cerulli says the day of Jeffco being solid red, those are gone. Here through Election Day are the candidates and their big-name backers. Donald Trump will be in Colorado Springs Saturday. Vice President Joe Biden's in Colorado today and tomorrow. Actually, our political guy, Brandon Ritteman, is sitting down with Vice President Biden tonight, and it's not too late to raise an issue that you think Brandon should ask about. You can always email us, next@9news.com. We'll forward those to Brandon. You can get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext. So now a word about how we're using words in this nasty political season. Hillary Clinton's health has been the subject of all kinds of speculation and online rumor mongering. Some conspiracy theories suggest she's suffering seizures. It's been said that that should make her ineligible for the presidency. Angie Generos from Arvada has epilepsy, and she has some thoughts.
I'm not here to endorse any political candidate or anything like that. I just know that there is huge misinformation about epilepsy. I'm not qualified to be president for a million reasons, but epilepsy is not one of them. I'm not telling people that they can't criticize Hillary Clinton, but stick to her policies. You can't say that somebody isn't qualified to be president because they have seizures. That's very clear discrimination. People really don't understand epilepsy. The prevalence of epilepsy is the same as the prevalence of breast cancer, but the death rates are even higher. FDR was a president and he had a disability, and historians consistently rate him as one of the best presidents in our history. If you see somebody, even somebody you don't like, having a seizure, and your first reaction is anything but compassion, there's really something wrong about that. Seizures are not the way that people think of seizures. There are a lot of small seizures. I've probably had several as we've been sitting here talking, where your brain just kind of loses consciousness for just a couple seconds and then you come right back to it. So I probably have a lot that I don't even know about. Sometimes I catch it, but other people don't catch it. To my friends out there who have epilepsy, I would just tell them not to get down about all of these things that they're seeing, because they can be very, very hurtful.
Unique perspective there. 50,000 Coloradans are living with epilepsy, and at least one American president was, even though it wasn't widely known at the time. Theodore Roosevelt had seizures throughout his life. We pause now to acknowledge our robot overlords. Actually, they're the robots that are dismantling the poison gas stockpile in Pueblo, and they appear to be more underlings than overlords. They do what we tell them to do, for now. And for now, we're telling them to disassemble one of America's last 2 stockpiles of mustard gas ingredients. That project is just getting underway after decades of planning. The robots are being directed by a team of 1,300 people. This is a massive 4-year project. The work on it began last week, the actual dismantling of the containers. And at this point, they've destroyed 59 containers of mustard agent, only about 780,000 to go. The people in charge of the robots, who will one day rule us all, say that things have been going smoothly down in Pueblo. The work there wraps up in 2020. Then it's on to the only other stockpile in the country, in Kentucky. Our next question is about a creepy-looking camera we saw in the city. Our Jeremy Hohola was walking near Commons Park this morning when he spotted this camera mounted all jankety-like on a pole. There was a little box underneath that said something about traffic engineering. We checked with Denver police. They had no idea what it was. Then get this, we went back to take a second look later, and it was gone. We're sure it was harmless, but can you blame us for being curious about this camera coming and going in the city? Late this afternoon, we heard from Public Works. Turns out it's a traffic study camera. It watches pedestrian and bike patterns to determine if an intersection needs work. They'll put those cameras out at an intersection for up to 24 hours at a time. So now you know. We're totally up for checking out weird stuff around town. You can always send it to us with the hashtag #HeyNext. A few big conventions in the city this week. Sure hope the A-line train to the plane is working. Is it? Yes. Great news for people traveling in and out of Denver. The E and F lines this morning were perfect for people who like to cuddle. with complete strangers while all of you are late for work. A train had a mechanical issue at the Bellevue stop, caused some delays, so then people had to pack onto the delayed train. So get close, people. Meet your neighbors. Make a friend. Ooh, too close.
Hey, if you're like me, you've often wondered why they won't let you keep your phone on during a flight. It always seemed a little old school to me, until recently. Please make sure that your tray tables and seat backs are in their full upright positions, your laptop and small electronic devices are stowed, and your potentially explosive cell phone is off. Not used to hearing that last part, are you? We're hearing that is now part of the spiel on some flights, all because of the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. You know, the phone you keep hearing about on the news, the one that prompted Samsung's COO to issue a scripted apology today.
We did not meet the standard of excellence that you expect and deserve.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission is recalling all the phones, which is going to cost the company a fortune. The problems also have airlines warning folks to keep their phones out of checked bags and totally off the entire time they are on board the plane. Several airlines have posted on their websites about it and made announcements at the gate.
Keep the phone turned off.
And we've seen tweets from passengers saying the airlines keep warning about the Galaxy Note 7 during the flight. Woof! What a public relations disaster for Samsung, one they're trying to clean up.
To be clear, the Note 7 with the new battery is safe.
More than 100,000 phones have already been returned. Pretty soon, all of them will. By the way, the new Note 7 will be available around September 21st. If you're a stock trading person, you already know this, but Apple's stock is on fire lately, thanks largely to Samsung's flames. Apple releases the new iPhone tomorrow.
See what you did there, Steve Steger.
Yeah.
Denver Startup Week is highlighting entrepreneurship and technology. And there's a heavy emphasis there on computer science and coding, tools to solve society's problems. I stopped by the tech company Go Spot Check in Denver to talk about getting more voices into that conversation in an industry that's still 3/4 male. I think when people are picturing tech companies and startups, they're picturing a bunch of young white guys sitting around on couches with laptops. Is that a perception problem or is that a problem?
I would definitely say that it's a problem. There's still a lot of issues of diversity in the tech industry and community, and a lot of issues that minorities and women are facing in the field, but it's definitely getting better.
Why does that diversity matter within coding and within tech?
It really matters because, you know, you're solving a lot of really big problems and issues, and the more different perspectives that you can have approaching a problem, the better.
When Next continues, we'll test her theory that anyone can learn to code. She swears elementary school kids can do it.
Are you up for the challenge?
Okay, let's do this. All
Or
right.
did I move too fast for you?
We'll figure this out. I need a teacher like the one in Colorado who's decided to stop giving grades. Where was that system when we were in school? And the skateboarder who rides faster than you drive. Next.
I used to spend hours on the telephone getting reports on storm conditions and road conditions, but not anymore. The 9 News Weather Department has just been added to Computer Search 9. It's a direct link to the weather information stored in the giant National Weather Service computer. Nobody else in Denver has it. What's new in Denver TV? The computer linked to the world. Computer Search 9, now with instant access to the weather here in Colorado and everywhere, and only on 9 News.
Stormy Rotman was a boss before the computer, and he was unstoppable with it. We still have one more week of summer left, and you can tell ski season's knocking on the door. There's some snow on the ground in the mountains. This video comes to us from up near the Eisenhower and Johnson tunnels. You can't just call it the Eisenhower tunnel. You totally cheat the Johnson tunnel, which is a fine tunnel in and of itself. Fall starts 1 week from today.
You You took the words right out of my mouth, Kyle. Yep, 7 days until the official start to fall. Yet we're already talking about the winter season, and you know it's going to be here before we know it. Temperatures around the Front Range have been really nice. You know what? We're in the 60s, low 70s around Denver, Boulder, Greeley, and Fort Collins. Some sunshine out there, but it is a completely different story across the Eastern Plains, where we actually have been monitoring some severe thunderstorms out there with that severe thunderstorm watch in place for far eastern Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas. For now, most of the action is shifting out of the state as this cold front is pushing further to the east. That's going to take the severe storms with it overnight, making way for a drier and warmer setup as we head toward the weekend. It really should be a fantastic one. Tomorrow, just a couple of degrees cooler. We'll keep it about 72. Plenty of sunshine to kick off the day, and then by the afternoon, we'll be watching for a few more thunderstorms out there. Daytime highs again around the metro area, low to mid 70s, very comfortable, pretty mild, a little bit warmer along the eastern plains, cooler up in the high country. And how about that planning forecast? Not too shabby of a weekend. We stay in the 70s, 80s on Sunday. The Broncos game looks stellar. And then, of course, that first official day of fall is going to be looking pretty nice as well, with those temps returning to the mid 70s.
Bring a forecast like that, you can come back anytime, Danielle Grant. Denver Startup Week is setting a new attendance record. 12,500 people are expected there this week. They're talking entrepreneurship and tech. You know, coding drives a lot of that technology, and that particular career field is predicted to grow twice as fast as the average field through the year 2030. So more and more kids are learning to code. Some of them taught by software engineer Kinsey Durham, who, as I can attest, is a patient teacher.
Definitely get started early with your kids. There's amazing programs that you can buy them, not only like board games. I was at an elementary school a couple weeks ago teaching code, and we played a board game, and it was awesome because they really got to learn those programming fundamentals through a fun board game.
Kids can learn to code.
Yes.
Anyone can learn to code.
Anyone, yeah.
News anchors can learn to code.
Yes.
You're certain about this?
I'm very certain.
I have to tell it to end.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and now how are you going to call that multiply method?
I called it molt.
Right, so how are you going to get it to execute?
How am I going to get it to execute?
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea.
Similar to what I did here.
So this kind of tells it we're about to start something. This is the name of what we're doing. Mm-hmm. These are our inputs, or arguments as you called them.
Yep, inputs.
Then down here, it's how we want them to act upon each other, or what we want to happen.
Exactly.
And then you tell it to end.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. This is not intuitive to me. Is this intuitive to some people? Like when you're teaching some kids, do they just like click with this?
Yes, and I find that it clicks more with people who have math backgrounds, or that type of background.
Okay.
I notice they get it a lot quicker, and that's why it's so important for parents to get their kids involved when they're younger, so that they grow up with this mindset and approaching problems this way and thinking about loops and data structures and stuff like that.
Well, this has been very interesting stuff. Appreciate the lesson. Appreciate what you're doing in terms of bringing coding to more people in town here and then around the world. Kinsey Durham, was fun hanging out.
Thank you so much.
Check out code.org if you're interested in learning the basics. Don't forget, we always put these links on the next Facebook page as well.
A Denver Bronco is branching out, making the natural transition from football to breakfast cereal. And a teacher makes the case that it would be a whole lot easier to grade students if we just stopped giving them grades.
The most Colorado thing we saw today is a high country traffic jam. The photo's actually from this past weekend as people poured up Highway 285 to see the first of the changing leaves in the high country, and as the folks who live and work up there just tried to get their day-to-day done. So give them a break if you're up in the high country. Us Flatlanders are visitors in their backyard, their beautiful backyard. A guy who lives right down the street from our office is officially the fastest skateboarder in the world. Kyle Wester is a Colorado native. A Colorado native who can go 89 miles per hour on his skateboard with the help of a speed suit over the top of a specialized leather suit. 89 miles per hour. He broke the Guinness fastest skateboard speed downhill record by 8 miles an hour a couple of weeks ago. He won't tell us where, but if you know your way around town, you might recognize where this video was taken. We're curious, though, how is it that he's able to slow down after going that fast?
When I go through the photo gates, I actually just stand up slowly, and then I just carve and put my hands out, and then I foot brake, which means that I keep my front foot on the board, and then I take my back foot and I drag it on the ground.
Wester isn't close to being done chasing speed. He says he wants to make some changes to his board, some changes to his aerodynamic outfit. He thinks he can hit 100 miles per hour. 100 miles per hour. We wish him luck and safety. The original report to Boulder Animal Control was of a dragon spotted in a backyard. The photo would suggest that was a bit of an exaggeration. After a month-long search, Animal Control caught the iguana today. Some little kid who thought he saw a dragon in Boulder is going to be super disappointed to see this story. The thing about fame is that you have to scoop it up and enjoy it while you can. Scoop it up like a delicious spoonful of Denver Broncos C.J. Anderson's delicious new breakfast cereal. On store shelves soon. C.J.'s Mile High Crunch. Tastes like a personal brand. Not that there's anything wrong with having your name put on something. While we're talking Broncos on this Throwback Thursday, Broncos defensive coordinator Wade Phillips, that man is a walking, talking throwback. He is in his 46th year of coaching in the NFL. The videos the Broncos tweeted out today pulls out some vintage footage of Wade's earlier years with the Broncos, some old school puffy jackets, that sweater. Oh man, could you imagine how much you pay for that sweater at a vintage shop these days? Tweet says, not much has changed. And if you're not following Wade Phillips on Twitter, do it now. Son of Bum is his account. Son of Bum. He's hysterical on Twitter. Several math teachers in Douglas County are testing out a new equation. Take class, add students, then subtract grades. No more grades for homework, quizzes, tests. Our Nelson Garcia looks at the results.
Gotcha.
In this Castleview High School math class.
This one won't be as bad when you get onto these other guys.
Vince Parenti believes a big distraction of school are the grades.
I think this is what they should be getting. Here's a problem. Here's a situation. So talk about it.
He wants students to learn from their mistakes and work together to find solutions. He won't grade homework or tests. The result.
And you can even listen. You can just hear mathematics.
The surface area is always bigger than the volume.
Students like Sloan Peterson are supposed to make their own goals and write a journal about their lessons.
Basic formula for that.
Instead of worrying about test scores.
When you eliminate the grade factor, even just a little bit, part of that stress goes away and more of your focus is on the learning.
I think everything we do in here is meant to be about qualitative feedback as opposed to just slapping a number on it.
Some parents were concerned and went to Principal Rex Core.
10-10.
But he says he wants Parenti and other math teachers to find new ways of reaching students in a difficult subject.
I think it benefits every level of learner, and I think it makes students more aware of themselves as learners.
Math hasn't worked for all these years. We need to do something different.
That's it.
Sloan will get a final grade in the class. Parenti has to assign one, but it will be based on effort and what she learned.
Getting an A in this class, it's going to be, I worked hard for an A, no matter how it's sliced.
I would argue that my students this year are learning and working at least twice as hard as the students that I've had the previous 11 years.
Getting a grade by not worrying about one. For Next, I'm Nelson Garcia.
The principal told Nelson he's looking at this as a pilot program. If it works, he'll consider trying the approach in some other subjects. Feeling thirsty at the end of a long day? Grab your wallet. It's a sign. Next. It's a sign in Denver of the rising cost to fuel up. The regular news is always watching the price of gas. But in the Mile High City, you'll spend more to fill up on hydration. Seriously now. 2 Gatorades for $3.33. We assume that's what it says, not $333 for Gatorade, but that's still more expensive than regular or diesel. Some of your thoughts now on what we've talked about for the last half hour. An anonymous email, a story about diversity at work as told by a white guy. Anonymous, I respectfully reject your premise that white people can't be advocates for diversity or talk about these issues. Sign your emails next time. Ed Collins writes, thanks, Kyle. Thought intellectual news was dead. Nice to think about what I'm watching again. Well, Ed, bad news. Jennifer Vale says, my husband and I find this new layout silly and childlike. Can we please have the real news back? Jennifer, I have bad news for you and good news for Ed. We will be back next time.